sort of distill all this, and let's focus specifically in the organization domain, but what are some of the practices that we're seeing that businesses are using around the world? And how do we sort of look at the red threads that are running through those? What are some of the things that people are talking about, business leaders are talking about? What are some of the practices that they've put in place? And who's thriving and who's having more challenges in surviving? And so I'm going to hit about a half a dozen of these. And then I'd love to get your thoughts in the chat line. What questions do you have about these issues? What thoughts do you have about how this might apply in your domain? And I'll start off with mindset. So I talk a lot about, when I lecture about the yin and yang of mindset and skill set. And what we're seeing is that we've had a lot of rhetoric in Silicon Valley and beyond about leveraging exponential technologies and becoming more digital, but it all sort of distills down to being adaptive. And I don't know if you folks have seen his new book by my friends Heather McGowan and Chris Shipley on the adaptation advantage, but the basic premise, that we've been, I think, talking about for quite some time when we look at the advantages that digital technologies can bring and the ways that Silicon Valley startups can inspire us. But the basic mentality is that the set of challenges we're going to be dealing with are going to continue to change very, very rapidly. The pace and spread of change is not going to slow down. And we were talking about all of those issues before a virus came along. We were all worried about the impact of robots and software on jobs. And worldwide, we were worried about maybe, tens of millions of people might be impacted by robots and software over the next 10, 20 years. And yet, within just a few weeks, many of our economies suddenly saw, at least a temporary shutdown and a massive ripple effects on the world of work. So there's a range of strategies, but the basic mindset, the premise, is that there is no static state now that we can predict in any industry that will guarantee that the pace of change is not going to continue to accelerate. And so those organizations that already had a lot of adaptive practices in place, and I'll talk about a number of those, but the basic idea is that if you've already been doing this, you already knew how to continually iterate and move to problem solving as rapidly as possible, you were just in a better place. And the organizations that felt that they were in more static or stable industries were the ones that were actually at some of the greatest risk.